name is Ryan. I'm 18 years old, and I have a mom, a dad, a brother, and a sister. Um, when I accepted Christ when I was 6 years old in Virginia, on the way home from church, um, and I knew somewhat of what Christ was, but I wasn't. Uh, you know, I saw Him through the eyes of a 6-year-old. Um, and then we moved to Illinois, where I kept going to church and I kept learning about God, but I still saw Him through the eyes of a 6 to a kid. And after Illinois, we were there for a year when we moved to Okinawa, Japan, and I realized that a lot of people didn't view Christians as good, and so I decided to kind of uh, I started to slowly work away from God, but I knew He was the right thing, so I kind of hid it, and then we moved to Stuttgart, Germany, where I I was really good at I was really where I started high school, and I was really good at music, at playing instruments, and I felt like that was the gift that God had given me to praise Him. And um, I played in the middle school band for the youth group and for the high school, and everybody said that I was really really good. So when I became a high schooler, I tried out for the high school youth band, and I didn't get in, and I was crushed. I felt like God had let me down. I felt like the youth pastor had let me down. I felt like I let myself down. And I started to sway from God and from His plans, and I kind of gave up on everything. And I started hanging out with people that were not good, and I started wearing black clothing and cutting myself and things that just weren't good. And um, when we moved back to Okinawa, Japan after Germany, I was a sophomore in high school, and I was doing a dual enrollment thing with the local high school. Now, my first day there, I was walking through the courtyard, and there was this kid playing his guitar, and I thought he was weird for sitting in the middle of the courtyard playing the guitar. And I walked up to him and I introduced myself, and he introduced himself, and I was like, who is this kid? So I started talking to him and whatever, and we became friends. And we started hanging out together, and after a couple months, he forced me to go to the youth group at the chapel. And at first I didn't like it at all, but as I started going more and more, they found out that I had musical talent, and they told me that I had to try out, so I did, and I got in. And I started playing Christian music, and I started doing all these things, and Nick kept forcing me to go, and he kept hanging out with me, and he really just, he pushed me back on track with God, and we became closer than brothers for all of that. As I got better at playing Christian music, we moved from Okinawa, Japan to Jacksonville, Florida. And we joined a church that had a big emphasis on Christian music and the musical industry and music ministries. And I got into the youth band, and I started playing with them, and it was really cool, and I felt closer to God than I'd ever felt before, and I felt like I could look up and see everybody praising God, and I could think that I was finally a part of that. And I joined the the full congregation band, and I played in that too, and I felt that I finally realized that was what God's gift to me was the ability to praise Him through my music, and that. At this point, I've gotten to where I just go out and I can just play with music and with people, and I love to see the way God works through me and my music.
My name's Lucas Ferguson. I'm 19 years old. I have 3 little sisters and a mom and dad. I grew up in East Texas, which is the heart of the Bible Belt. Going to Sunday school and going to Sunday night, that wasn't an option. You were going to go. Sunday morning when we would wake up, we'd always rush to get to the shower first and rush to get dressed in our Sunday best and eat breakfast and wait outside for our grandma to pick us up. And it was always fun during that point because there were 7 grandkids in a five-seater car, so we'd always fight tooth and nail to see who got which seat. Luckily, I was the only boy in the family, so that wasn't much of an issue for me. At Sunday school, I wouldn't pay attention. I would always just mess around with my friends and do this and do that. And it was the same thing when we'd go out front and listen to the preacher preach. And for about 8 years, I did the same. I never really paid attention, never really listened. I just did the same thing. It wasn't until I was 8 when I truly realized I was a sinner and what all God had done for me. And that's the point in my life where I accepted the Lord and I took that step forward to start following Him and to listen to Him. As the years went on, I kept trying to be a better Christian, and do what I need to do, but I never really felt like I was going anywhere or doing anything or gaining anything for the Lord. It wasn't until we received our new pastor, Brother Pete, that I actually started taking a step forward in the right direction and under his guidance and under his mentoring. And when I hit 12 years old, I was on fire more in my heart and in my life than I had ever been before, and I felt like I was doing amazing. I was doing great. Went on my first missionary trip up to Pennsylvania and I was helping build out impoverished neighborhoods up there. And I felt amazing. I was inviting all my friends and doing the best I could and everything in every which way. And I did that for about a year, and I stayed on top. And one day I slipped up, and from that day on, I kept slipping, and I didn't try to stop myself. I just kept going back, taking one step back, till I was just about running backwards in my faith, and not realizing what I'd done. It wasn't until about 2 years later that I really came out of that slump, that really bad part of my life. And the only reason I came out of that was with the help of my dad and my pastor. They were the ones that were there for me, that I was able to lean on and to help me through those tough times. It wasn't until I got a lot older that I realized just how important their relationship and the relationship I needed and had with God, that's what got me to that point. That's what got me to that terrible point in my life. If it wasn't for my dad and my pastor and the Lord, I'd be in a really dark place right now. I probably wouldn't even be here at Laterno. I don't know where I would be. But through the Lord and the relationship I had with Him, I was able to grow, and I was able to start taking commitments with Him and following. And at first, I tried jumping straight back into the reins and getting back on fire like I felt like I should. But I was just having so much trouble because I kept feeling like if I took that step forward and what if I messed up again? What if I went back? How is that going to affect my relationship with God? I mean, what is that going to do for me and Him? And for several years, I really didn't want to take that full-on commitment because I didn't want to disappoint the Lord. I didn't want to mess up. It wasn't until I got a little bit older and I realized that I was disappointing the Lord by not taking that step forward. I was disappointing the Lord by not trusting Him, by not trying to do my best and trying to make that commitment. I was always tiptoeing around the subject of letting the Lord lead my life and lead my life the way He would want me to be. And I've started doing that now, and I've been doing it. I've been letting Him lead, and it's changed the way I think and the way I take a look at my spiritual journey.